Greetings, friends, and welcome to Beast Foundry. My name is Christian, and as usual, I will be your guide today. Today, I would like to talk to you about something that I hear a fair amount about, and I've heard it for a long time, not just about Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I've heard it for pretty much most of D&D and Pathfinder 1st Edition, and that is fights can take a very long time. I see people talk about we were in a fight and it took an hour, or it took 2 hours. This can be very daunting and very frustrating, actually, for everyone involved. Now, some fights are incredibly dynamic. They have a huge area that they cover, and even though maybe they do take an hour or 2 hours, everyone's having a lot of fun, and that's great. However, there are way more times that the fight is taking an hour and people are bored and they're like, oh my God, can we just get this over with? What I want to address is how to help minimize that. And in all honesty, the best thing you can do is know your character. And for your DMs out there, know the monster. So much time is spent trying to decide what to do on your turn that, people will, maybe they're on their phone when it's not their turn, they're distracted doing something else, and then when it does get to their turn, they now have to formulate a plan, where if they had been paying attention the entire time, they would already know what the plan is, so they could just roll some dice and tell everyone what happens, and then you move to the next player. Now, there are little things is when you're beginning out or inexperienced that you can easily learn to do things better. It's not about you're making mistakes. That's not what this is about. It is just about trying to pay attention and making sure that you are respectful of everyone at the table's time, because, most games are probably about 3 hours and happen once a week, once every other week. For a lot of people, they look forward to it a ton. And it can be very disappointing when you get there and you're like, oh man, all we did is we had this one fight and it took forever and it wasn't a major boss fight. It wasn't anything special. It was just, oh man, okay, it's your turn. What are you going to do? I think, okay, I'm going to try to do this. How do I do that? Or, I'm going to cast that. But they don't know how the spell works. They have to look everything up. Where that could have been looked up on the person who went before you. You could have been looking it up during their turn, or the person that went before. So there are a lot of just paying attention and really knowing your character. Part of, especially as you level up in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, is your character gets a lot of new abilities as you increase in level, and those abilities are powerful and effective. If you're not utilizing them and if you aren't aware of them, you're going to drag out the fight because you are using less powerful or substandard tactics because you're not aware of new options available to your character. Everyone has a point where they're starting out and learning the game. That's fine. No one expects anyone to be an expert overnight. But if you've been playing your character for 3 or 4 months and your turn is taking, honestly, longer than 15, 20 seconds, that's definitely a problem. It shouldn't take that long at all. It should be, okay, I move here, or I'm going to attack, I'm going to cast a spell, make a saving throw, make the attack roll the damage. For the most part, at least 80% of every turn you take, that should be all that happens. Of course, there can be something that horribly goes wrong the round right before you, and you have to throw everything you were going to do out the window. But that's fun. Everyone's like, oh my God, what's going on? Like, what are you going to do? And people waited with bated breath, hoping that you have some trick or something that you can save the day. So that's not bad when those things happen. But when it is a normal fight and everyone is just staring at you like, what are you going to do? Oh, well, I think I'll cast this spell. Wait, no, I'm going to cast this spell. And then look at the DM. So what do I do? And they're like, well, you have to make an attack roll. Oh, okay. I'll make the attack roll. See, those are things you should know. Like when you cast a spell, you should know, hey, this is a saving throw spell. I'm just going to roll the damage while the DM's making the saving throws. And you say, okay, who failed? Who succeeded? Here's the total damage. And the DM will just figure it out. They'll either do half, none, double, full. That's on them, not on you. So there's a lot of other little things you can do, that just help strategize there. If you're going to use Intimidate, use it as your first action, not your last action. Most of the time, when I see people Intimidate, they use it as their last action, which if you use it as your first action, it affects the armor class of the enemies. If you incur attack of opportunity, it affects their attack roll, it affects their saving throws, and it lasts until the end of their next turn. So there is no downside to doing Intimidate as your first action, not your last. Sometimes Raise Shield can fall into this category, especially if you are going to be moving around and you're going to raise your shield. Raise it at the beginning of your turn. It increases your armor class. So if you incur an attack of opportunity, your shield's already raised. There's a lot of little things like that you can do and read through and just pay attention and really make sure that the game is flowing. And even for dungeon masters out there, knowing the monsters, if you just, we're going to fight this, and there is a block of text like this big that you're like, oh my God, I don't even know what all of this does. You need to be reading that beforehand and get a good grasp of it. Maybe you need to read it a couple of times. If you're constantly reading how the ability of a monster works, you're going to be just as guilty as the players of dragging out the combat. Now, if your table's having a great time and this isn't an issue, that's awesome. But I hear this as a very common complaint. And these are just small things that you can do to really help speed it along and make it a more enjoyable experience for everyone. So that's all I got for you guys today. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. And as always, game well, my friends.